stops the government controlling your brain through 5G towers.
Whoa, what are you talking about, Chad?
I don't know. My mind is being controlled by Washington.
Oh, sounds like Chad needs one of our hats. Hey, Chad, whatever happened to that positive we made the other day?
Well, now we have to put layers on top of it to make the mask out of papier mache.
Don't you mean paper mache?
No, Mindy, papier mache. It's French.
Foreigners.
So here is Mindy's mask positive. And on top of this, I'm gonna build papier mache to make the actual mask. But before I do this, I gotta coat this with petroleum jelly to make sure the mask will come away from the positive. I'm gonna cover all the tiny nooks and crannies, all the tiniest little cracks and noodles in order to make sure that the mask will come away nice and easy. It is possible that you can use coconut oil if you haven't got petroleum jelly. But here, I'm gonna make sure that all the area is covered, and I'm gonna use this brush to get into all the little corners, even up inside of Mindy's nose. Now, in order to build the layers on the mask, I'm gonna show you the many ways in which we can make papier mache. So here, we know this method where we add some flour, add some salt, and a bit of water, and we can mix this up into a smooth paste. Now bear in mind, this paste we want to have relatively thick, but also smooth. That way, when we apply the papier mache, it'll have a nice thick consistency. Yeah, thick, juicy papier mache. That's the way. And then we are applying it very carefully, bit by bit, to the mask. Yeah. When we apply the papier mache, no matter what kind we use, we want to make sure there are no air bubbles in it. There's also this way of making papier mache, which is a ready-made wallpaper paste. Now you can get this stuff which is in a tub, or you can get the stuff that you mix on your own. The stuff that you mix on your own, make sure that it's relatively thick, but just a little bit more watery than your flour papier mache. And the last way, which I think is probably the most effective, is either Elmer's glue or something like this, Titebond. Here, I'm just gonna add a little bit in here into my tub. It doesn't take much, something like that. And then I'm gonna add about the same amount into the tub. Then I'm gonna mix it up into the consistency of something like a watery batter. And this you can do also with Elmer's glue. Now this stuff I can use either with paper or, and this is the real fun, I use a spongy version of this ordinary household paper towel. The paper towel soaks up all of the glue stuff, and then I can apply it after I squeeze out the glue, but not all of it. I can apply it to my mask. One of the advantages of this kind of papier mache is that it will stretch and bend over curves. So I can stretch it and bend it to fit the kind of weird and awkward curves my papier-mâché needs to cover all the different crevasses of my papier-mâché mask. Now, when you've applied it, you can also dab it with an ordinary paintbrush just to make sure that you get all the bubbles out on each and every layer that you put on top of the mask. Now, one other thing I want to say is that your mask, in order to be nice and sturdy, you want to have at least 5 layers, no matter which one of these papier-mâché mixes you use. In a few moments, I'm going to show you something incredible that you can do in order to continue to build even though you're papier-mâché your mask. Some of the papier-mâché may be made out of brown paper bags, which is a sturdier material. It may make it a little more robust. But in order to use it and make it more malleable for actually making the mask, we're first of all going to prep it by tearing it into pieces and then soaking it in water. Here, I completed 1 layer of papier-mâché on this mask. But before I go any further, hey, what if I wanted to enhance a feature before I put the next layer on? Well, maybe I want to add something to the nose. Well, here, I'm going to show you a papier-mâché form that could add something to this physiognomy. Now, on making stuff and doing things, I'm going to show you how to make some papier-mâché clay. This is a more robust kind of papier-mâché. So, into the pot here, or should I say blender, we are going to put the hard edges of the paper or the kitchen roll into the blender. We can use anything really as long as it has some fiber. I'm going to pop that into the blender. Or we could use toilet roll. Or, since I've got some here, I've got some soaking paper that we used for the rest of the mask. I'm going to pop that in there. Look, we can put anything. We could put sawdust or even lint. And I have some lint here, fresh from the washing machine. I'm going to pop that in there. All we need now is a bonding agent. Now we can use Titebond glue. We could use Elmer's glue. Or we could use wallpaper paste as long as it remains thick. But because we've been using the flour, I'm going to stick to the flour and we're going to put some flour in there. We're going to add some salt to keep the mold at bay. And then maybe a bit of water. Now this is a trial and error process in order to find the best kind of texture that you're going to use on your mask. Then I'm going to pop this on here, and then we're going to pulse. So in here, I still see that it's a little bit, I don't know, not goopy enough for my liking or for what I need. I can add a little bit of flour just to thicken it up a bit. And if you make it too thick, of course, you can add water just to make it a little looser. It's up to what you need for the mask. Now, I want to build up this part of her nose and maybe add a little bit to this eyebrow here. And this consistency has allowed me to find a way in which I can just pop that on there and play with expanding this nose. And then I can then carve around there to give that, I don't know, whatever that little cuticle is around there. Can add just a little bit to the eyebrow. And if this sticks too much to my fingers, then I can dip my fingers in the flour, and that allows me to form without it sticking to my fingers. I might add just a little bit more to her nose. So I can still do modeling to some degree, even though I'm building on the papier-mâché. When this is dry, then I'll do the next layer over the top of this layer. Here you can see I've made plenty of clay. This is pretty good consistency. It's almost like clay. What I can do is wrap this in cling film, pop it in the fridge, and save it for another clay day.